The Enugu state government has called on residents of the state to ignore the sit-at-home being enforced by some members of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra IPOB in parts of the southeast and go about their lawful businesses. The government directed all schools, markets, banks, retail outlets, hospitals, transporters and malls to operate every day of the week, including Mondays. It warned that defaulters of the directive may be forced to shut down with immediate effect, stressing that the state's task force would be moving around to check compliance. The call followed a recent ban and cancellation of the sit-at-home in the state. Arise analyst Dayo Sobowale joins us now to discuss the end of the sit-at-home in Enugu and return to normalcy. Welcome to Newsday, Mr. Sobowale.
It's a pleasure being here.
It's a pleasure to have you here as usual. So let's just go right into it. I mean, we're having this this directive put out by Governor Umba saying that everybody is free to go about their their business as usual on Mondays, and now even going a step further to say if you don't comply with the directive, you will be shut down. Do you think that I guess that following that step is the right way to go, especially because in the past people that had come out on Mondays had been attacked? Some of them even had their shops looted. How do people begin to try to step out and say they're going back to their Mondays as usual?
Okay. It's a very simple thing. What the governor has done is the first bold thing that I've seen on this crisis involving Kano and the IPOB. A government should be able to guarantee the security of its citizens. You cannot have a government within the government, which is what IPOB is. And you cannot have a citizenry with divided loyalty to two governments, which is what is happening. To me, it is like the politicization of security, and it is dangerous. This new president has said he will try and negotiate with the IPOB in his manifesto. But it's now on seat, we'll see what he can do. You cannot eat your cake and have it. Somebody cannot plan treasonable felony and terrorism against the state, and people just say it should be free. Even the president, the governor, said one thing that I agree with, you get me, and said another that I did not. He said government should forgive Kanu. Then the next day he said people should feel free. That is the duty of government, to protect its citizens. Now the new president, in outlining his security doctrine, said that he believes that terrorism, you get me, and justice or violence economic prosperity and rule of law cannot exist in the presence of violence and insecurity. The Southeast, the Enugu case, presents a test case for Tinubu to prove his doctrine. The governor has not moved firmly enough. You cannot say people should comply and defy IPOB, and at the same time you say government should release IPOB. It is just not on. If you plan against the state must deal with you, or the state is not the state. So you have two governments. Rebellion cannot foster in the face of political stability. It is just not on. You can't eat your cake and have it. You get me? I can understand the case of IPOB on some occasions. It has said that Nigerian soldiers, Fulani ethnic groups, the GOC of the 22nd Command in Enugu, you get me? That they are trying to bring in Fulani people to kill their people. If that is the case, if there is some semblance of truth in that, the government should look at that. You get me? You cannot ethnicize and politicize security and hope for peace. You will only have the peace of the graveyard, unsteady peace. So let's be realistic. What is government's attitude to rebellion, and treasonable felony and terrorism? And what is his attitude, ultimate aim, in deterring those who attack the courage and power of the federal government.
But if you look at the angle, though, of
yes.
you know, what the Enugu governor is saying, even though you said you don't agree, you know, saying that Kanu should be released and the people should go about their business as usual. Another perspective might be that he might be trying to ensure that there's no, that this sit at home that's been imposed by the IPOB becomes a thing of the past by releasing Nnamdi Kanu. So it looks like he might be trying to get the best of both worlds to a large extent. Do you see it from that angle?
Kuka and all those saying they should release Kanu. I don't. You don't plant reasonable felony against your state.
But at the same time,
there will be no deterrence.
To an extent, this is also a government
people from attacking the state.
I definitely hear you, but this is also a government that has been criticized to an extent for when it comes to releasing repentant Boko Haram, for instance, and them being reintroduced into society. So it's like picking and choosing who they choose to pardon, even though they might be...
I don't buy the amnesty program for Boko Haram either.
Okay, so you're not interested
what is good
in
for
either.
the goose is good for the gander.
Definitely.
It's not on.
All right.
You see, there's no way you can have political stability when people defy government incessantly and even overpower government forces. What is a government? I keep on defining it here.
Yes,
a government is any government that is able to maintain its rule with force if necessary in a given territorial area. And there is a social contract, the Hobbesian theory, that you see, the people and this government have an understanding that the government must protect them and let them enjoy the good things of life, and let them enjoy the good things of life, you know, without anybody disturbing them.
Definitely.
Indeed.
I mean, I would also want to put this to you, Mr. Brad. Do you think that the directive by the governor to shut down, you know, any, residents of Enugu State who don't immediately comply with this new directive, you know, shutting them down? Because if you think about it, they've had, you know, weeks and months of, you know, this sit at home every Monday because of the unrepentant criminal elements and those that have, like, obviously, kind of warranted unnecessary destruction. So threatening to shut down banks or schools or businesses that refuse to follow the directive on the first day, on the first try. Don't you think that's a bit extreme?
It is not extreme. It's not extreme. You see, the government is trying to show that it is in control. You look at the reason again. He said Monday morning that given the Igbo's entrepreneurial spirit and love of commerce and all that, that it is a bad omen for you to not to go to work on a Monday. If you know the Igbos, well, they are amongst us. They are very industrious people. Get me? But you see, I see the capacity to shut down those who defy who defy the government directive. It doesn't have the capacity. And look, these things are ethnicized, whether you like it or not. You get whether you like it or not. People in Enugu, in the southeast, have some love for IPOB, whether you like it or not. Just like you have in the Boko Haram issue, with the Nigerian army. You know, it's an Islamic thing. The Muslim member of the Nigerian army so have some affinity, you get me, for those they are fighting against. See, what is a multicultural society? All we have to do is to monitor ourselves so that on each occasion, we see that we put people who are neutral in charge of enforcing security, just like in charge of interpreting the law in our courts. Yes.
Well said. So when it comes to, let's project and let's imagine that what happens in Enugu is achievable and, you know, the sit at home becomes a thing of the past. I had a conversation with someone that lives elsewhere, that's Anambra State specifically, and he did make mention of the fact that to an extent people have gotten used to the sit at home and accepted it almost. So how easy do you think it would be to replicate what happens if Enugu is a success story in the other parts that are also affected by the sit at home? You
see what you have just said is anti-Nigerian state. You get me? You say people have accepted a call to support a rebellious group against their state.
The sit at home.
Oh, that's the sort of thing I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah.
That subterraneously, people have some empathy Empathy for IPOB in the
If I may clarify, Mr. Sobowale, I would really like to clarify, please, because
I'm not promoting
insurgency. I would like to clarify. When the person told me they had accepted it, it means that they have accepted the fact that if they go out, they might be risking their lives. So they'd rather stay home and play it safe and then continue business as usual on Tuesday.
But if they stay home, they make the abnormality of the IPOB the norm.
But a living dog is better than a dead lion, they say, as opposed to being bold and risking your life.
You are still fostering rebellion against the Nigerian state.
So is it...
It's a tacit approval of the IPOB tactics. Is that conducive to Nigerian
that's your interpretation, but that's not how I interpreted what was told to me. But I'm just asking, if Enugu is a success story, how easily do you think it can be replicated in the other states that are affected by the sit-at-home situation?
You see, the sit-at-home situation should be defied by government, an elected government. This is the Nigerian state. See, the rebellion was quelled in 1970. You cannot recreate it in whatever form or shape and think other Nigerians will like it. Supposing if the Yorubas start their own or the Kanuris, that will be no Nigeria. That will be no Nigeria. Look, it's a bitter thing to say. During the Civil War, what Awolowo said, and why it's not liked in the East, told Gawan that if anybody leaves this federation, there is no federation. So you have the principle of federation, you must bring back those who have left.
Definitely. I mean,
you cannot bring back people and then you are fomenting another uprising. No. There must be deterrence for order and stability. That's the meaning of government.
Definitely. And just to add to that, the police spokesman in Enugu State, Dayo had come out to say that strategic units would be deployed and operational resources to actualize the governor's directive.